G'day and welcome to Insights and Storytellings with me, Moon Willow. As always, it is a real honour and privilege to have you on board and have your energies contribute to these storytellings. I have managed to do 2 storytellings in the past 3 days, but I have no idea. There was some sort of reason as to why they weren't able to go out. They recorded sort of like 4 or 5 minutes of the video, and then the video stopped. I tried uploading both like I had previously, so the audio at least went on, but for some reason it wouldn't process all the way through. And I have no clue. But it sort of feels really indicative of the energy at the moment, that there's lots of blocks. It feels like, for me anyway, that there's lots of blocks, and I suppose it's a chance to reroute and really take the time to have a look at the route that we're taking and the path that we're walking on at the moment. And as we hit a block, instead of getting frustrated over it, instead of getting annoyed at it, actually recognizing that there may actually be another reason for the halt that we may not be able to see yet. But I have to admit, the 2 that I did, I am quite frustrated that they didn't get uploaded, but I don't know why that was. I really don't. But there's going to be a reason. But there's a lot of buts. There's a lot of ums. Bear with me today. I'm going to see which crystal comes out for us today then, and take it from there. That was 2. So I've got a wry smile going off because carnelians come out, and the previous 2 readings I didn't upload, both were carnelian, both was for the sacral. So very much around creativity and trusting our gut, really exploring those halts in our path, those restrictions that have been put on us externally, but also the restrictions we put on ourselves on a regular basis. What is it we're creating? Why do we create, or why do we allow anxiety, stress and fear to sort of take hold of our lives, really? Because sometimes that's sort of very much part of our beginning of our lives, and that becomes the norm, and that becomes comfortable even though it's uncomfortable. It's comfortable in the uncomfortable. And it may be that we are attempting unconsciously to create a similar environment for ourselves because that's what we're used to. And although we've come a long way, sometimes we end up back in a familiar sensation and in a familiar situation that, as I say, may be uncomfortable, but because we know it, it takes us a while to recognize that we are back where we were. So it's taking that time to really sit in our sacral space, sit in our womb space, and see what it is that we are trying to bring about. What are we gestating within that space? It's the same for men and women. It is our creative space and how we create the world we live in, and our experiences and our responses to what's happening in the world. So I could have quite annoyed and angry. I mean, I'm slightly frustrated, but I could get really annoyed and angry that the previous 2 storytellings didn't upload. But I'm learning to shrug my shoulders, I guess, and just accept that for whatever reason in the universal flow that they weren't meant to go out. So it is a case of really, as we come across blocks, of stopping and really getting a sense and understanding of what's around that. And how do we reroute? How do we change our perceptions to navigate forward? Is it that the path that we thought we were on actually the right path? Were we really going for it, gung-ho along that path, but it's going to take us to the wrong destination? So really taking that step back and really sensing into it. So I'm going to see which cards come out to sort of support our sacral space today. So the three cards today are the dog, the anchor, and the tree. So the dog is very much about friends and friendship. And I think what's sort of coming through at the moment is very much befriending ourselves, befriending our process as well, instead of perceiving our process as the enemy or a frustration or being critical of it. Actually having a friendly curiosity with it and really try and feel into what it is that's preventing us from going forward. And it may be something that we have no control over, but our relationship to it, we certainly have control over. And having a look at our interactions with others around us, are they people that are encouraging us to be the best that we can, that are willing to hear us in our authentic self, that are going to give us a space to actually find out more about ourselves without putting their stories onto us, but are supportive of us finding our own stories, and actually meeting us in our creativity, exploring different ways of being and how to move forward. So going into the anchor, it is really important to have our anchor within us and into earth underneath our feet and source energy, and not being reliant, or as I say, on somebody else's goodwill as to how we feel that we're able to respond or not respond to situations, that actually we're taking full responsibility, that the dogs, the friendships are about nurturing us, but enabling us to still be anchored in our own selves, anchored in our truth, anchored into our authenticity. And having that solid connection. And I feel that at the moment, having that connection with the earth under our feet is vitally important at the moment, because there is a lot of energetic shifts going off out there that feel very stormy and quite traumatic at times. So we're going to be swayed, we're going to be feeling like we're being pulled and pushed all over the place. So really having that anchor into ground underneath our feet is vitally important, and exploring and nurturing our connectivity with the world around us. So very much paying attention to all living things that's on this planet, not just the two-leggeds. Developing those relationships, taking time to speak with the earth under our feet, the trees, the birds, the insects, noticing how they're going about their business. Four-leggeds as well. Part of the story I was talking about yesterday was around the foxes, my local foxes. And really recognizing that a lot of people consider them vermin and that they're encroaching on our environment, on our habitat. And the truth is it's the opposite way round. We've encroached on their habitat and their environment. We've destroyed it in a lot of ways. So it's understandable that we have a lot of urban foxes now, and they come out at night and play. And I mean, I really enjoy watching them and surviving. Thriving, in fact. They have adapted to the situation and are flourishing within that. So I think that's also part of it, is by connecting deeper into earth and recognizing that the blocks are probably there for a reason, so that we can actually ground and center and fully feel what world we would like to create, that we would like to live in, how we can actually thrive no matter the inhibitions and stoppages. I've lost the words that I want, but the different rules and regulations, acknowledging them. How do we thrive within them? The restrictions that are put out, we can still thrive in the way that we live our lives. We can just do it slightly differently. So the last card is the tree. So the tree is perceiving ourselves as a tree in a way, and really noticing what tree we are. Are we a eucalyptus whose roots go so deep into the ground to look for water, to look for nutrients? Or have we got a broader root system? How deep are our roots into the earth underneath us? Are we secure? Are we getting all the nutrients to actually continue growing and flourishing? Do we need to move our roots slightly, or just send them in deeper to actually encourage our growth? Trees can take a long time to mature. They continue to grow even in the harshest of situations as well. There's a lot of trees that you can see sort of on a rocky outcrop that you wouldn't expect that they would actually grow, let alone flourish, but they do. And it's looking at ourselves in that way, that it may feel that we're in very rocky circumstances at the moment, or very restrictive, but we can still flourish within that. It's a case of sending our roots in deep and holding on. So that goes back to the anchor, really anchoring into ourselves, anchoring into the ground underneath our feet, so that we can actually have that firmness of a tree. And in the tree as well, it's about meditating again. It's about finding time, breathing space to actually witness what's going off around us, witness what our responses to it, how we feel, really getting into our sacral space, trusting our gut. If something doesn't feel right, then there will be a reason for it. So we don't have to find the answer straight away. We can give ourselves the time and the space to untangle it and work out what is it about that is upsetting us, that is hurting us, that is creating that internal response. Because we are encouraged as human beings, especially in the West, to rush into the next thing, to not pay attention, to bulldoze through, just to get to the end of it. But what do we lose if we bulldoze through? What world do we destroy in the process that we can't put back? So really meditating and taking slow but definite steps forward into the way that we would like to live our lives, how we would like to create the world we want to live in, nurturing ourselves, supporting ourselves, allowing ourselves to have time and rest, recognizing that we may have to reroute, or it might be just that the timing's not quite right, that we've turned up at a Zoom meeting a week or 2 weeks early. Doesn't mean that we won't have access to it. We've just got to be patient for the host to open up the Zoom meeting. And that could be part of what those blocks are at the moment. But if we get caught up in a reaction to being prevented from doing what we think we're meant to be doing, we lose the opportunity. We don't end up seeing when that time is right, that when those doors do open for us, we are too stuck in the internal landscape, and we can actually end up getting caught up in anger, bitterness, fear, anxiety, that when that door's open, we present ourselves in an angsty way. Whereas actually, if we take the time at the moment to just sit, to breathe, to be like a tree, encourage our roots to go down, build up our trunks, flow more with our branches in whatever's thrown at us, being aware of the things that are brought up for us and look at them with loving compassion, allow them to actually drift off as appropriate, but really see that that is not helpful in a lot of ways, although it's informative, so in that way it is helpful. But how we react to it, so that when those doors are open, when the Zoom meeting is actually open to us, we are there ready to learn. We are there to fully engage. We are able to alchemize and continue to create the world that we'd like to live in. So I'm hoping that this makes sense. I'm going to see what sound comes through for us today. Although my throat might be a bit scratchy, because I think I have the starts of a cold. I'm not sure. Plenty of vitamin C and echinacea. So, thank you very much for joining me. I really appreciate it. I'm hoping that this story resonates for some of you out there. And I'm hoping I'll be back tomorrow, but who knows? With technology, I'm not even sure this one's actually going to upload. But in the meantime, take care of yourselves. Love you all. Bye for now.